Greetings, fellow gorehounds, and welcome back to a Blood Splattered vlog. I'm the Horror Guru.
And I'm Count Jackula.
And today we're going to talk about Bloody Axe Wound from writer-director Matthew John Lawrence, the writer and director of Uncle Peckerhead. This is his latest horror comedy. It is about a serial killer's daughter who wants to take over for the serial killer as he's starting to get up there in age, but unfortunately falls in love with her final girl, which puts her at odds with both her destiny as well as her father. And that's the crux of the movie. That's kind of like the core plot of the movie. Yeah,
it's the core plot of the movie. Core plot of the movie is really good.
And that stuff works really well. There are some elements of this movie that I feel like overcomplicate the idea of the movie.
Yeah.
For lack of a better way of putting it, there's a magic video store element to this movie. And what do I mean by that? I mean, it's not enough that this movie has a serial killer whose daughter wants to take over for him. The serial killer also owns a video store.
Yeah.
And that...
Which, that's not the part that's weird.
That's not the part that's weird, that's fine. But that video store seems to be the exclusive place to buy these videotapes of this specific slasher series, which is basically his killing sprees. He's not like followed around by like a video crew.
Yeah, it's not like Behind the Mask, Rise of Leslie Vernon.
No.
You know, which would have made sense, but...
He just goes on killing sprees and magically a couple months later, a movie pops up.
Yeah.
Here's why I feel like that element of the movie doesn't make any fucking sense.
No, it really doesn't.
Because now that you know that's a thing in this universe, you're gonna find yourself, like me, asking throughout the movie, wait, why does no one seem to know that there's a serial killer around? These movies were apparently popular at one point.
Yeah.
Now, granted, it's part of the plot that these movies have started to dwindle in popularity.
Yeah.
Which, fair enough. How has no one noticed that their friends are popping up in these movies?
Yeah.
As victims?
Yeah. It would have been a much cleaner movie had it just been about a girl taking over being a slasher from the previous, her slasher dad, which, by the way, is the main crux of the movie. It's the majority of the film, so it makes you wonder why the magical movie element exists.
It's a weird meta element. I guess the idea is supposed to be that we're watching one of those movies right now, but it still doesn't answer all the questions that having that in the movie brings up.
Exactly. Because you're like, well, wait a minute, then why does, but who's... Wait a minute, like...
I think the movie was trying to get away with being so comedic and being so goofy that no one was going to think too hard about it. But one too many questions popped up in my head, and I realized, oh, wait, no, this is now starting to bother me.
Yeah, it's starting to bother me. It's actually distracting from the rest of the movie.
Yeah, because the rest of the movie is so well done. I love this serial killer daughter lesbian romance / possibly antagonistic relationship going on here between the main character and her final girl.
Yeah.
I love all that. I love the conflict between her and her dad wanting her to kill all these people that he's told her to kill, and her being like, no, I like these people.
Yeah.
I like all that stuff. That stuff's all great. It's a great combination of a father-daughter legacy story combined with a goofy slasher comedy.
Yeah. Very easily with another, pass of the script, you could have eliminated the magic video store element and had it just be, well, he's dying and he's afraid of leaving the legend of the serial killer to his daughter before she's ready.
Yeah.
She absolutely believes she's ready, but is not she's not quite ready, although she's better than the guy that the dude was gonna pick as his successor.
Yeah, the guy who was supposedly gonna be the son, but he's not actually his son, he was just an employee.
Yeah,
that guy was awful.
Yeah.
Like, she was destined to take that place. Like, I love that conflict, and I love the roller coaster of emotions where you're like, no, I'm on her side, Dad, why aren't you giving her a chance? But then you're also on her side when she starts to like her victims and doesn't want to kill them.
Yeah, it's like she has to go on this killing spree so they can sell movies to save the video store, but that element is completely unnecessary.
No, I feel...
All that is needed is her to go like, I want to impress my dad.
Yeah, I'm just like impress the dad. The dad wants these murders to happen because he's a slasher. It's what he does.
Yeah.
That's all I needed.
Yeah, that's all you need.
The video store thing, I just found myself throughout the entire movie, especially when you get to moments where like they go to the campground where apparently her dad started everything.
Yeah.
And she starts explaining to the characters the history of her dad. Wait, hold on. If this is something that he's been doing in this specific town for a decade or so.
Yeah, probably more.
Probably more. The implication is that he's been doing it at least since the early 80s, right?
Yeah.
If this town has had these kills for that long of time, like these murder sprees happening, and they've been turned into these movies. They're not like new actors playing them. It's literally just the footage of him killing people.
Yeah.
These movies were at one point relatively popular, so people watched them. Wouldn't they not only know his history, they would know specifically who was doing all these kills and not need it explained to them by his daughter?
Yeah. Wouldn't they know? And the other thing is, it's not that this movie shouldn't have had a magical element, because the movie does have a magical element in that the dad is a slasher killer, in that he keeps coming back from the dead.
Yeah. Every time he dies, he gets reburied and he rises from the grave. And I was fine with that.
Yeah, I was totally fine with that.
All of that stuff is playing with the slasher tropes.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm totally fine with them doing that. The magic video store stuff was just an added element on top of that. They're like, okay, now you're just making shit up.
Yeah, because there could have been easily been another way that he found out that she was going on kills without him. There didn't need to be an explanation as to how he picks his victims. He could have just been, why do it the old school way? See, like, here's the girl who has too much sex, here's the pot smoker.
Yeah.
You know, this is what you do, you know?
You could even add it an element of like a Leslie Vernon, right? Where it's just like, okay, so here's how we pick out our victims.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, take her on a drive along, you know?
Yeah.
And just like, okay, you see that right there? Clearly that is the school slut. Like, although they gotta go, you know? Like,
yeah. They're driving by and they're like, all right, that one you gotta watch out for.
Yeah.
Why? Okay, they're an outsider, they're a weirdo, but they don't fit any of the other tropes. If anyone's gonna come in at the last minute and fuck up your final kill, it's gonna be that one.
It's gonna be her. Yeah. There you go. So yeah, I actually do enjoy this movie despite me giving it a lot of shit here. That one element just kind of looms over the whole movie because it's how the movie starts and it's how the movie ends. And then the entire middle portion of the movie, I'm sitting there wondering, wait, is that still a thing or is that not a thing? Because this character apparently has no idea that the slasher killer who's been in this fucking town for a long ass time killing all of her friends even exists. Despite the fact there's apparently a popular movie series with it.
Well, it's even weirder because there's another popular movie series about another killer.
Played by Jeffrey Dean
Morgan.
Yeah. And that one, we actually see characters watching that movie outside of his video store.
Yeah.
So we know it's like a real movie people are watching.
Yeah. And I was like, why couldn't that just have been the slash movie everyone's watching in the world, you know?
You can still keep that. I like that.
No, I know. I love Jeffrey Dean Morgan as this kind of ice cream man serial killer.
I actually really wanted them to make that spin-off of that movie.
Yes.
I would watch the shit out of it. That first 5-minute sequence showing us a scene from that movie was beautiful.
Yeah, because I forget what his name was too, because they only mentioned it in passing, but it was he is supposed to be the ice cream man or the barber or something like that.
He is definitely one of the 90s slasher killer types.
Yeah.
The dentist.
Yes.
Ice cream man. Dr. Giggles. He's one of those guys. The humor in this movie is legitimately funny.
Yeah.
It's a lot goofier than you're probably used to. I really like that one character whose whole gimmick is that he really wants to be in one of their movies, so he keeps popping up as an extra in every scene. And I love that it's a meta joke that's also playing on the fact that they probably didn't have a lot of money, so they're just reusing this guy for all these roles. It's the one
really good.
It's the one element of the meta movie stuff that I think works in the movie.
Yeah,
very
but you could have had him have figured it out and just been a serial killer fan. And still done those same jokes and had it just be oh, okay, I get it.
You could have still made it work.
Yeah, you could have made it work very easily.
Absolutely. And the romance is legitimately well done. I actually did root for these two crazy kids. And when we move on to the spoiler section, we'll find out if those two crazy kids make it work. This movie is currently available available on various streaming platforms to rent. You're going to have to rent it out yourself if you want to check it out. And I recommend you do if you enjoyed Uncle Peckerhead. And if the core premise that we described to you sounds fun, just know that not everything in this movie is going to make complete sense. Especially everything around that magic video store element. And with that said, my fellow Gorehounds, let us move on to the spoilers so we can talk about where the plot goes.
Do those two kids make it?
Yes, because everything else basically goes the way you expect given the premise.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, so she wants to live up to her dad's expectations, so she decides to try to stalk these people, but starts falling for this girl and starts befriending these people, so he doesn't want to kill her.
Doesn't necessarily want to kill them.
Which
Dad's
means,
like, no, these are the ones you have to kill, you know.
Which means, if you have any semblance of how these plots tend to go, by the end of this movie, she's going to be up against her dad to try to save her friends, who's going to try to finish it himself, right? That's ultimately where this movie is going. Where this movie differs from what you're probably expecting is he actually succeeds in killing all of them. And at the end of the movie, he successfully kills the final girl. And the movie seems like it's ending with him retiring, her taking over and closing the store because the video sales are down. The new movie didn't do well. What the fuck ever. Even though the new video just arrived, she doesn't want to do the business anymore. She likes her.
She's kind of out of it.
She likes these people. She doesn't want to kill them. She doesn't have it in her. Turns out this wasn't her destiny. But then it turns out that the ghost of her girlfriend shows up and a new movie series starts. Now, I feel like you could still do that without the movie series thing.
Oh, yeah, totally.
You can still do that, where the girlfriend resurrects the way her dad does to get vengeance. And I'll be completely honest, I would totally watch a sequel to this.
I'd totally watch a sequel to this. You know, I'd totally watch a sequel. For all my criticisms, I would totally watch a sequel.
I would watch the shit out of this Hello, Mary Lou sequel.
One of the things I thought was really impressive, when the dad is like in slasher mode, Jesus Christ, he's a badass.
He is. He's legitimately badass. When he's out of slasher mode, he is like, even though he's got like the burnt up face or whatever, he just comes across like the mustache dad.
Yeah, he's his mustache dad. He's
from
bumbling
Twilight
through like fucking relationship with his daughter.
Maybe a little bit more controlling because he's like trying to get his daughter to follow the path he wants. And he's played by Billy Burke, the mustache dad from the Twilight movies. In my headcanon, it's the same dad.
Because it's set in Seattle.
Exactly. But then when he puts on the mask and gets out there with the fucking machete, he's badass Jason Voorhees.
Like, he's just like, he's punching through cars. He's fucking setting up these complicated traps for him to fall in, coming out of nowhere. You're just sort of like, damn, I don't know why you thought maybe he was slowing down. Holy shit. I mean, he is dying throughout the movie. His sciatica's acting up.
They make it clear that he is an ultimate badass, but he's on a time limit of some kind. Because even like his ability to resurrect comes into question. Like he can only halfway do it. At one point, what happens when eventually I can't crawl out of the grave and I'm just stuck down there?
I'm not able to actually dig myself out because like when he first resurrects, she has to help dig him out. He's like, I used to be able to do that by myself. What the fuck?
The old tropes of like, I'm getting too old for this shit. You know,
we'll never get it, but I wouldn't mind the crossover between this and the world of Leslie Vernon.
That'd be cool.
You know,
that'd be super cool. Leslie Vernon is probably the closest to this movie in terms of the kind of movie it is. There's some elements of some other types of movies, like Tragedy Girls kind of movie, and stuff like that. But Leslie Vernon is the kind of like horror comedy it's clearly striving for, where it's very meta, and it's kind of commenting on some tropes and kind of flipping them on their head.
Which is why I found the magical movie part to be so frustrating, because you're like, this is the one part of the movie that doesn't work.
Leslie Vernon has an element that doesn't necessarily work too, but the thing about Leslie Vernon is that it's just the one element, and that's the entire conceit of the movie, being documentary crews
like is willing to follow a slasher killer.
Willing to follow the slasher killer and not turn him in at any point. Like, that's the conceit that you have to kind of just roll with. And the thing with this movie is this movie already gives you a million things you have to just roll with, like, right off the bat.
Yeah.
You're already rolling.
And it didn't need to.
Exactly. You're already rolling with a slasher killer's daughter wants to take up the reins for him.
Yeah.
So you're already rolling with some stuff, right?
Yeah. But like, you could have taken that and just been like, for lack of a better way of putting it, no, it's just how things go when you're in this business.
Yeah,
like the one guy who always shows up. In a new costume. Yeah, there's always one of those.
The stuff that works the best, and this was also true with Leslie Vernon, is when you're taking the tropes from some other type of thing and applying it to this.
Yeah.
So you're taking the tropes of like the retiring specialist, right?
Yeah. Someone who's too old for this shit.
A master of a craft.
Yeah.
You're already taking that trope and transplanting it on something that makes no sense, which is slashing killing. Mm-hmm. That right there is already your conceit. Adding the extra element that there's like a magic video store that's making movies that apparently everyone's seen but no one's seen. Now you're asking way too much.
Yeah, you're asking a bit of the audience at that point.
You know, I had reached my limit of things I was willing to roll with after a certain point.
Yeah.
It's not like you're going so out there like you're doing like a Psycho Goreman thing.
Right.
But here's the thing about Psycho Goreman. Internally, its logic makes sense.
Yeah.
Internally, the logic in this movie doesn't make sense.
Yeah. But like we keep stressing, only that one part.
Only that one part.
Yeah. It is unfortunately at the beginning and at the end.
Yes. So that is our thoughts on Bloody Axe Wound. I'm not sure how I feel about the name of the movie. Bloody Axe Wound.
I get what it's in reference to.
Yeah, well, it's weirdly specific, but it also feels weirdly generic at the same time.
Yeah. Like, okay, so if you're like, huh? I don't get it. It's talking about vagina.
Shit, you're right.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah, that's why it's a bloody axe.
I get what you're saying.
It's a vagina on its period. That's the joke.
All right, I get it now. All right. I retract my statement about the name of the movie. And with that said, my fellow Gorehounds, where can they find you, Count Jackula?
Oh, you can find me here on YouTube, where I stream pretty much every weekday night between the hours of 7 and 8. And we usually go for 2 hours minimum, sometimes 4, sometimes even longer. And as people who are longtime viewers of the stream know, when I start fishing on World of Warcraft, you might want to strap in for the long haul, because we could be going till dawn. How about you?
Y'all know me. I'm the Horror Guru. I'm on Blue Sky and YouTube. I'm on various other streaming platforms, but I've been kind of cutting it down and mainly using Blue Sky, so go follow me on there. And with that said, my fellow Gorehounds, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and don't forget to ring that notification bell so you're notified of my videos immediately upon their upload. And if you'd like to help out either of us more directly, be sure to check out our Patreon pages. If you decide to go the Patreon route, even $1 a month can go a long way. And with that said, my fellow Gorehounds, I want you to comment below, and be sure to comment below using the hashtag Justice for Dancing Queen. And the reason why I want you to do that is because there's a character in this movie who's referred to as the Dancing Queen, who definitely suffers a fate they do not deserve.
Oh, they do not deserve. No.
They do not deserve. I felt the most bad for them out of anyone else in the movie.
Well, yeah, go out, kill this person, prove it to your old dad, and you're like, oh, I shouldn't have done that.
That poor girl.
Poor girl.
And with that said, my fellow Gorehounds, peace out, and we'll catch y'all later.